So Jake Paul, on the back end of whatever that was with Cormier over the weekend, was doing an interview and is stating that he wants to fight Nate Diaz. Paul then came out and said his long-term plan is to end up in there with Conor. As a matter of fact, if I beat, or after I beat, if I'm quoting him, Nate Diaz, nobody could deny me the Conor fight. All right, hold the thought. Few problems. First off, and I see MMA fighters do this all the time too, they sit down and they decide who they're going to beat and in what order and what reward they will get for doing it. It never works. It absolutely never works, which is why I beg and plead with you guys to quit worrying about your ranking and focus on your placement on the card. And I can say it until my voice goes hoarse. It just doesn't end up happening that way because MMA fighters get influenced by their managers, and their managers don't know anything about MMA. It's just one of these tough things, but it's what keeps this circle going around. I bring it to you because Paul's making the same mistake. If Paul thinks that getting a fight over Nate Diaz and or beating Nate somehow assures him of Conor, one's got nothing to do with the other. In fact, if he were right and he were to beat Nate he would much more likely have just closed the book on any hope of being in there with Conor. Okay, you got to look at it from this perspective. None of these guys get to fight unless their promoter tells them they can. In the boxing world, that's called a co-promote. In this world where you, the athlete, are exclusive to an organization and the organizations don't work together, nor do they even show an interest that they want to, that's why co-promotes don't happen. They don't happen. So like when you were able to see Ben Askren, just so you understand this stuff's very obvious to me, but I sometimes have to remind myself. So I'm trying to break this down. When you saw Ben Askren come over and be able to fight Paul, that is because Dana released him. Now, Dana would have every right and every fiduciary responsibility to make sure that he, Dana White, participates in that. He generously sidestepped. He generously released, encouraged, and allowed Ben Askren to go and do that. Now, things were very different. Ben Askren was all done fighting. By example, Ben Askren was not going to go into the octagon again. He was not looking to trade this date for this date or this participation for this participation, but it still was Dana's decision. Dana had every legal right to stop that, but he even had a fiduciary responsibility that he turned a blind eye to out of generosity, out of absolute kindness. Now, I bring this to you because Nate Diaz does still have fights, and you would be trading a date, and you would be trading this event for this event. So that isn't something that Dana is likely to do absent of a co-promote, and Dana doesn't want to work with these guys. He's not going to co-promote it with them. I only bring to you because Dana even shut the book on this entire thing a week ago at a press conference, and he went as far as to say, I will have my lawyers get involved if you continue to talk to my fighters. Now, just so you guys know what that's about, you cannot do what's called interfere with a contractual agreement. That is a federal law. If somebody has a contract with somebody else, you cannot come and interfere with that. You could not come and recruit. You could not come in to a company, want an entire department, and come and do a raid. You can't do it if they have a contract. You have to be very careful, literally, with your words. A phone call could break a law. So Dana is watching these phone calls happen in front of his face and has been nice enough to let it go until the press conference where he finally stepped in and said, I got guys under contract and you're attempting to interfere with that, and it's illegal. Get your own guys. You're so goddamn good at promoting, go get your own stable. It's what I had to do. If you think that it's so easy to make guys a wanted commodity, then just go do it with your own crew. It's what I had to do. And I'm not going to just hand them over to you, particularly after the product that Triller put out, which was embarrassing, which sent the sport back 20 years. I mean, it was terrible. It was bad. It wasn't just hard to watch. It was embarrassing. I was uncomfortable. I did not want people to know that this is what I do. And I'm not a prude. I'm not prude on this stuff at all. I didn't want people to know that this is what I associate with. It was embarrassing. That's the right word. It was embarrassing. Dana, I'm not having anything to do with it. I'm never doing this again. And by the way, don't talk to my guys or I will get lawyers involved. Dana has the right. And I'm only sharing this with you because if they are so goddamn good at what they do, and if they can bring in so many pay-per-view and they can have so much interest, then go and do it with your guys. And that wouldn't involve a Nate Diaz. If you have an interest in rubbing elbows with Nate Diaz, there's a way to do that too, and that's called the Octagon. We could talk about your skill level and we could talk about getting you a license, but then we could talk about putting that fight together. You're trying to do something over here with my athletes. I just want you guys to understand, because Dana touched on it and got off of it. But Dana also assumed, because that's the language he speaks every day, that perhaps you understood. And I want to explain why there's a difference. I have to make sure you understand that so that you can then understand my overwhelming point, which again ties back to Conor McGregor. Now, that is a cash grab. We've seen what a good job Conor does of bringing attention, and that's what Paul sees. I'm aware that you understand that. But it still involves Dana, who has said, this is a sideshow. I'm not doing it. I helped them once, regrettably. Now that I have seen who and what they are, I'm out. And best of luck. But you will carry on without me. So when Jake talks about, I want Nate, and if I beat Nate, that will give me Conor, I'm just here to share with you guys that none of those things are true. And Paul is the ultimate troll. He has done nothing wrong in any of this. He did nothing wrong getting nose to nose with Daniel. He did nothing wrong dismissing Daniel's challenge of MMA and to focus on a guy 50 pounds smaller in Nate Diaz. I mean, that's a hard night out. There's no way to do Nate Diaz that's fun, and there's no way to do Nate Diaz that's gentle. And that's a hard night out. I'm just speaking to a troll who is likely trolling, right? So that if I fall for it, but I understand that I could be. I'm just not going to take it with a grain of salt. I'm taking it at straight face value and explaining to you guys what the problem is, which is if the end goal is Conor, he is very right. Anybody can sell a Porsche. I see guys that do this all the time. Anybody can sell a Ferrari. Bring me the guy that can get the Volvo off the lot. That's the car salesman. People do that all the time. If I was to make a big fight, I would put Conor McGregor in there with George Masvidal. Oh my God, great job. Move over Sean Shelby, right? I mean, come on. I'm not speaking about these obvious things, but it's the same thing that Dana's saying. Look, you act like this is an easy business. It's not. It's really hard. And it's so hard and takes so much work and so much thought and so much time that you're trying to come in on what I've done. And you're trying to do it with my guys because you don't actually know what you're doing. Dana said all of these things, but he said them in about 3 words. So if you didn't know what he was saying, I'm going to explain. I'm going to expand for you. When Dana talks about, I have built the business, that's what he's you think this is easy? You think it's easy to have interesting characters, meaningful people that other people will stop what they're doing and tune in to watch? Paul did that. He didn't do it through boxing. He did that through his YouTube success. Lesnar didn't do that in MMA, to use an example. He used that through his wrestling success. That's okay. CM Punk, everything's fine. But we understand it's not about boxing. It's about entertainment. We understand that it's not about successes. It's about notoriety. And if you want to capitalize on that by coming and using my guys, I let you do it once. I saw what you did. I will not do it again. But if you're so good at what you do, just do what I did. Go get your own guys. Write those checks every month. Make sure you use them 3 times a year, as you're contractually obligated to do, including the years where they're not worth anything and you're losing money on them, called an investment. Go and do that. And in 20 years, I'm sure you'll have what I have, instead of calling me, begging me, and having me release guys, or not as good, not calling me, not asking me, and just trying to take my guys, which is a crime, which is what Dana talked about. So Paul is very much wrong if he believes beating Nate is going to get him closer to Conor. If Paul were mysteriously right, which he's not, if he were right that he's actually a really good boxer and could deal with some of these MMA guys, you're not going to get an MMA promoter that wants that to be revealed. Why would the MMA promoter want it revealed? Why would he want it known? Why do you think the boxing promoters aren't offering their guys? Top boxing pros aren't offering theirs because they're not sure they're right. They're not sure they got a real sport here. Maybe this is just about power and you're born with it or you're not. And if you jump rope a little bit and move around in front of a mirror, you have what it takes. Maybe that's what they're worried about. That's why they're not testing this. This is why top boxers are not coming and calling Paul out. They're inside going, man, maybe he could beat me at this. I mean, I'm just sharing with you what the problem is. I'm also sharing you what Dana was speaking about. And I'm also sharing with you because Paul is doing a good job of doing a sport that he loves, doing it in a high spot, doing the hard work. I don't just mean in the gym. I mean in front of the cameras. Everybody wants to do a photo shoot until you show up and you got to do it for a day. It's not fun. It's not great and glamorous like you thought it was going to be. It's mind-numbingly painful, but he's doing it. He's doing a very, very good job. Paul's also trying to act as though, and this, see, I never know where the troll is. I acknowledge that Paul's a very smart guy, but I don't know how smart he is. So that's why I feel that I got to come in and correct him. I got to be the scholar in the room. Perhaps he's working. I will disclose that. But when Paul comes out like the white knight that's going to come in and save guys' purses and act as though what Dana White is doing is wrong, and he came out and said, you come and box me and you'll make more money than you have ever will. Stop right there. First off, okay, you got to understand what he's attempting to tell you, the message he's attempting to tell you. But let's look at the words that he actually used. Paul is not equal partners. Paul is not cutting anybody, Askren most recently, or whoever will be next, in on it. He is not looking out for them in the least. He is taking absolutely everything, and whatever scraps are left behind is what you end up with. But because it's more money than you have made anywhere else, he's done everything right. No, he's coming in a greedy, selfish prick, and he's got the right to do it. He's leaving with more money than you got anywhere else. Dana could say that about all 556 guys under contract. And the last paycheck he handed all 556 is a larger paycheck than they've ever gotten before. Oh, and guess who the one that he just beat was him. He is the one paying them more time next time than he ever did the previous time. And it's more than they could get absolutely anywhere else. So it's the same mindset. Paul is attempting to justify how he is cutting up this pie, not in conjunction with what he's taken home. Not even a rough percentage of what he's taken home. You are not his partner. You are there to be his pawn. He is then justifying it because it's more than you could make elsewhere. It's the exact same mindset. It's the exact same mindset that he's attempting to argue against. Nobody that's under contract in the UFC has ever gotten more anywhere else. That part of the story seems to be left out. The biggest check that they've ever gotten only gets surpassed by the previous biggest check they'd ever gotten, who was written by the same guy, Dana White.